does cash flow impact the performance on a construction job? I'm asked that question a lot. Why the two relate to one another? We don't want to talk about cash flow. We don't want to look like we're weak. We don't want to sound like we're weak. Truth is, none of us want to sound like we're weak. But being in a weak situation doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means you're in a weak situation. And those situations don't also mean that it's because of your own fault. Sometimes it can be like you work on a construction job and it's a bad cash flow situation. And if you applied that cash flow scenario to any other business in the world, they'd be in just as a bad spot. So you don't have to worry about that. How cash flow, though, does impact performance and why it's important to talk about it is if you're bidding a job where you have to work on the job for all day, all month, put an invoice in, and then get paid 30 days later, you need to have some margin in that job if you're going to float that much cash. So if you're putting a bid in and your price is a little high or it's higher than you think it should be, well, maybe your price should be higher for a job that takes 30 or 45 days to get paid versus one that you may be invoicing every week and getting paid 15 days later. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And so if you're negotiating terms with somebody, talk to them about that stuff. But how it shows up, where does cash flow show up? Well, all of a sudden materials aren't on the site and someone automatically assumes, why aren't materials on the site? You didn't order them. You have a problem with them. Well, no, of course they know how to order them. But if you don't have credit terms with your supplier that marry up to when you're going to actually get paid, then you maybe have to make deposits. And maybe you don't have the cash to float for that. So maybe it's the material's not on the site yet because you just didn't order it. It's not because you didn't know to order it or you made a mistake. It's because you didn't have the money to order it. So there's the problem. What if the schedule gets behind and all of a sudden now you're putting pressure on that you have to speed up because you're holding up other trades? Or other trades held you up and now they want you to accelerate your schedule. Well, that takes money. It might take money for overtime. And if you don't have that money in the job, so you're only putting one crew on the job instead of the two, it might not be because you don't have the crew. It might not be because you don't want to. It's probably because you don't have the ability to pay extra payroll for that particular job or that site. It's okay. So talking about cash flow from the beginning, do a cash flow model for the whole job before you start so you can see under exact circumstances that you bid the job what the cost structure is. And then if any of those circumstances change throughout the job, which by the way in construction they usually do, you can understand how that's going to impact the cash you need to execute on it. And so have that conversation with a general contractor, have that conversation with your owner. Speak about the cash flow. If someone's wondering why you have a certain higher bid, tell them it's because it takes too long to get paid on this particular project. If you could put an invoice in every other week or twice a month, it might make a difference. Find an alternative solution in the beginning. And guys, gals, anyone listening to this, performance is what everyone cares about more than the price. Period. All people want is for you to do what you said you would do and perform what you said you would perform. So marry up and tell them, in order for you to perform, this is what you need. And whatever it is that you need, you don't have to fit into whatever bucket they think you need. You fit into the bucket that you know you need and go from there.